History is full of larger-than-life figures, legendary kings, genius inventors, dramatic emperors. These individuals have shaped the world in ways we can hardly imagine, leaving behind legacies that continue to influence our lives today. But behind the fancy portraits and royal crowns, behind the grandiose titles and the awe-inspiring achievements, they were kind of like us. They had their quirks, their odd habits, and their moments of sheer weirdness, and maybe a little weirder. These quirks make them more relatable, more human, and definitely more entertaining. Ready to dive into the quirks of the greats? Let's take a plunge into the lesser-known, often hilarious sides of history's most iconic figures. Buckle up! This is going to be a wild ride through time. Our first guest, Julius Caesar, general, dictator, and fashion icon? Yes, you heard that right. Caesar loved his clothes so much that he passed a law, yep, a whole law, that he could only wear his toga in a specific just-so style. It had to be draped perfectly, with every fold in place. If your toga wasn't up to Caesar standards, you'd better hope he didn't notice. Imagine the pressure of getting dressed in the morning. Guess he was Rome's first fashion police. Moving on to another fascinating figure. And then there's Beethoven. Musical genius, bad hair day enthusiast. You know, Beethoven loved dunking his head in cold water before he composed. It was his unique way of sparking creativity. Rumor has it he thought it helped with creativity. Maybe it was his secret ingredient for composing masterpieces. That's right, he was out here doing ice baths before it was trendy, long before athletes and wellness gurus adopted the practice. Maybe that's why his music sounds so intense. The cold water must have really woken up his genius. Ah, Napoleon, conqueror of Europe, snack enthusiast. His favorite treat? Licorice. This little candy was his guilty pleasure. He ate so much of the stuff that his teeth literally turned black. Imagine the sight of a powerful general with licorice-stained teeth. Imagine the intimidation factor, seeing a black-toothed general charging at you on horseback. It must have been quite a sight. Spooky, right? But also a bit funny when you think about it. Let's talk Einstein, one of the most brilliant minds in history. But his biggest concern? Socks. That's right, Einstein hated socks. He found them to be a nuisance. Said they wore out too easily. He couldn't be bothered with constantly replacing them, so he ditched them altogether. No socks for this genius. Imagine him rolling up to work, no socks, with his signature bedhead, dropping world-changing equations on the board. His appearance was as unconventional as his ideas. Big brain energy, socks optional. Now let's move on to another founding figure. Last but not least, George Washington, father of the nation, but not of good dental hygiene. Poor guy had so many issues with his teeth that he ended up with dentures made of hippo teeth. Yes, you heard that right. That's right, founding the country with hippo chompers. It's a wonder he managed to keep a straight face. Turns out, father of a nation isn't the only reason he rarely smiled in portraits. Those dentures must have been quite uncomfortable. So next time someone tries to act all high and mighty about historical greats, remember, under those wigs and crowns, they were just like us. They had their oddities and their moments of silliness. Odd, endearing, and maybe a little obsessed with fashion, snacks, and hippo teeth. History isn't just dates and wars. Sometimes it's just hilarious. And these quirks make it all the more fascinating.